Hi, folks, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. Joining me today, Mark Wrestle Mobs. Myself and Mark are going to be talking about Wrestlemania weekend today and how the Irish OTT Irish alums kind of gone on over the weekend. I think it's something that we haven't really seen anybody else really do. So I think it'd be good to have a look. We know that a few of the lads went over for Wrestlemania weekend, worked a few indies. We also had a lot of ex OTT people and people that were around the scene here for a while working shows, some of the bigger shows, NXT, WWE. So we're just going to touch on them, but Mark's going to take the lead on this one. So I'm going to fire over to Mark and see where we go from here. What have you got for
Thanks.
us?
Cheers, Colin. Thanks very much. Yeah, listen, as I said, we're going to be taking a kind of a slightly different slant on this now today. I suppose over the last week or so, everybody and their mother has given an in-depth top to bottom review of WrestleMania, NXT, Supercard of Honor. So we're just kind of looking at from a different lens, just looking at what we as Irish wrestling fans would be keeping an eye out in particular for, particularly for fans who would prioritize Irish independent wrestling over, say, mainstream American wrestling. So we've kind of collated together just a number of matches we thought were worth highlighting, and a few different tidbits as well from guys you kind of see featured regularly in OTT, Fight Factory, RCW, Hard Knocks, and so. What we're kind of going to give you a very high level overview first of all for the first while, and then by the end of it we're going to go touch on the more mainstream matches, be it with Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, Sheamus, and whatnot, and the WrestleMania card. So kick us off. Some of the more regular featured OTT and Fight Factory members rather, CBL, Martin Steers, LJ Cleary, Fabio, Jay Steins, we're all over in California for the weekend. They're featuring in a number of different independent shows over the weekend. They're also training in a number of different seminars over the weekend. I know they all trained with a seminar with Chavo Guerrero, Brian Kendrick, and made an effort to kind of attend as many shows as possible. So one of the more notable shows that the guys attended was actually quite a comedy show. So LJ and Fabio teamed up at a show called Wrestling Pro Wrestling, Russell Crowe Wrestling, Wrestlemania 3, in a tag team title match. Now they were facing two Californian independent wrestlers called Darwin Finch and Fidel Bravo. Now, LJ and Fabio actually won the belts initially, but down to a bit of chicanery and backhandedness, somehow were screwed out of the titles. So when we ran into the two guys this past weekend at RCW, they were still quite distraught about it. And it's a bit of a touchy subject, so we didn't press it on it too much.
I
So,
think
uh,
belts is probably a bit lax there to call them as well. There's a proper look. If you haven't seen it, go online, have a look at LJ and Fabio's social medias, because these belts, if you want to call them, they're funky looking. They're like half belts. They remind me of do you remember the Divas split belt that Lay Cool
mm,
had, like something along those lines. So hokey, but it just looked like this show. I'm not gonna say that it looked like they didn't give a fuck, because they clearly do, but like they just don't take themselves too serious. They were there. It looked like they were all just having the crack, and that's sometimes some of the best type of wrestling for me. Like, and yeah, I really want to try get onto the lads and see, can we maybe get some clips from that show, because it just looked like so much fun.
yeah, and particularly with like the WrestleMania weekend, when so many different outlets are trying to be Japanese wrestling or lucha wrestling, or trying to be a super independent show, and they've got a bit of everything. Something that's just a bit of a comedy show, don't take themselves too seriously. Because there's so many wrestlers traveling from all over the world and just looking for any sort of spot. Why don't you go all travel over there, go somewhere you can have a bit of fun, learn, make your American debut in a good environment, and bring what you learn back to your home country and your own environment.
I think for the fans as well, they need those type of shows on those weekends, because, as you said, there's a lot of serious, high level, high class wrestling, and sometimes like a lot of that in a run together. Especially like some fans were probably doing 3 and 4 shows a day. Sometimes that can be very overburdening, and you need something that can just let yourself go for a little while and just have a bit of crack. And yeah, like I know I love a bit of those comedy spots and kind of like just letting loose. And yeah, I think like there's definitely a place for them on those weekends, and yeah, good to see the lads getting involved with them as well.
100%, particularly those daytime shows in California, good weather. Like I think some of those shows are outdoors as well, so there have been a lot of people just enjoying the sun, having a few pints, getting ready for the weekend ahead of WrestleMania. On that show as well, we had CBL and Martin Steers also featured in the Battle Royal while they were over there. Now, I couldn't nail down any official results for that battle royal, but I think needless to say, neither of them came out on top. But again, huge opportunity and great learning experience for the two lads to be out there featuring on an American show, making their American debut, as well as working with the rest of the lads on the various different seminars they attended with Brian Kendrick and Chavo Guerrero. Following on from that, there's a few other kind of notable independent wrestling shows as well. One of them, kind of a slightly strange one. Jay Steins, who most people would be familiar with from Fight Factory Pro Wrestling and featuring regularly in other shows such as RCW and Up and Down in Titanic and over in Wales as well. He, a number of years ago, spent time in Compton in California and
Such a
developed
random one. Such random.
very, very, and like obviously it plays into his current gimmick as well. So he made a number of connections while he was over there, and when the guys decided to go over to California and go over to Wrestlemania and whatnot, he reached back out to his connections over there and see if he could be featured on a show and any sort of match in any sort of feature position. And somehow, following that, he managed to get himself in a scramble match for the Compton Boulevard Championship. Now that was being defended by a man by the name of Sad Boy. Fair enough. Manny Mars, Ruben Iglesias, PJ Laurier, and MMJ. And wouldn't you know it, somehow out of all those, the person who's least featured and probably has the least to do with Compton, California, was Jay Steins, our very own. So there's a number of photos going around online of Jay with the belt. Yeah, seems to have an absolute whale of a time over there. We try to catch up
Welcome
with
to
him. Yeah,
Gangland. Isn't that what it says?
yeah,
Gangland.
gangland. Yeah, the Street Warrior, all these
Gang
different.
Steinsy.
Yeah, you can see him with his album cover 8x10s he's been selling at Fight Factory shows and whatnot as well. So yeah, he's gone full in this game, and why not? He obviously doesn't get on with Colin, so it's a bit of a probably a sore subject for
I love Jay.
he
Jay, I
calls
don't know
you.
what Jay's problem with me is. I
It's
love
because
Jay.
I think he's right. I think you are a hick, so I have no issue with that, with Jay kind of getting at you. But it is very funny. Jay was pretty indignant during the family show at RCW against himself and Collins. So obviously a bone to pick with us somewhere along the line. But yeah, great to see Jay coming out on top of the championship. I asked him at the show, did he bring the belt home? He said no. I said, okay, are you still the champion? He said he wasn't sure. So there you have it. Will he be back over to Compton to defend his title anytime soon? Who knows? Will he defend it in Fight Factory? Who knows?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, and I don't even know if you know, but like, this is like his fourth or fifth time being over in
Yeah,
Compton
yeah,
wrestling for these guys. So I think it's safe to say that he probably will be back at some
yeah.
stage. It's such it's glorious to see, but it's
Mm,
just so random that loads of people have said to me, they're like, what's the story with the Compton stuff that Jay Steins is doing? It's like, well, he's wrestled over there like a few times,
yeah,
and like he's straight out of Compton, like, and
yeah,
people are shocked when they hear that. It's just such a random, weird, wild thing, but I love it. Like, I love that he's
yeah.
after doing that, and love that he's after going over. He's still a smelly hick, but like, he's brilliant.
He's
And fair
fantastic.
play
Yeah,
to him.
and he knows the stupidity of the character he plays as well. He's fully
Yeah,
aware of what he's doing, and like everybody talks about, like, do what you know, turn whatever part of yourself up to 11. That's been the best outcomes within being a wrestling character and whatever. And he's dead right. Like, it's a niche thing that nobody else has. Like, nobody else has kind of life experience living that part of the world. Wrestling that part of the world, training and making connections over there. So it is something that makes him stand out, and it makes Jay Steins from Bray seem significantly more interesting as a character when he's portrayed on shows then. And just based on how far he kind of came in 2022, it'd be amazing to see how far he possibly can go
yeah.
in 2023. And if he goes back to Compton, or if he continues going back over to Wales and traveling all around the UK, for my money's worth, probably the hardest training wrestler in the country. That's purely from just my own experience working with him. He doesn't miss a training session ever. He's always the first one to turn up, regularly the one who has the keys to the building for Fight Factory. So yeah, listen, I couldn't be happier for him. A thoroughly nice guy as well. Okay, then moving on to some of the more notable independent shows that happened over the weekend, and featuring OTD and Irish Wrestling alumni and regularly featured participants. On Circle 6, they had a series of shows all across the week. Different, each part of the show would have different titled hours. So in Circle 6, they had one show where one of the hours is called AJ Gray's Power Hour. AJ Gray is ex Ring of Honor participant. He's featured all around the American independence. He's highly popular over that part of the world. Big Damo was featuring against the former MLW world champion Jacob Fatu. this was an incredibly intriguing matchup, and I've been trying to get my hands on the actual footage of this match. Unfortunately, haven't been able to do so as of yet.
Yeah, I really
Jacob
want to
Fad,
see that. Two big
yeah,
meaty men slapping shit out of each other like that. I'd
yeah,
say that was it. That was a slobber knocker fest. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of people have said that like the position Solo Sikoa is in WWE currently was originally designed for Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu could be doing it at a far higher level.
Mhm.
Athletically, one of the most gifted people in the whole North America, in my opinion. He's wrestling in North America rather. I think he's absolutely incredible. And it's great to see Damo kind of getting that big spotlight as well, because since he's been released from WWE, despite him living in Orlando, a huge amount of his wrestling's been done primarily in Brit Red. So like, he's been featuring regularly for Progress, Red Pro, ICW, obviously with ourselves here in Ireland and OTT. So he's doing a huge amount of travel back over to this part of the world without really doing a huge amount of wrestling in the part of the world he's living in. So to get that opportunity to fight somebody of that stature and that name value, hopefully will help him going forward. Like I know WWE allegedly have a bit of a hiring freeze when there was a tease a while ago of bringing back Sanity himself, Eric Young or whatnot. So hopefully off the back of this will help him get kind of a bit further up the wrestling food chain over North America, and hopefully get some back for national exposure as well.
I think it's only a matter of time. Like the stuff that he's done over here over the last few months and I
Yeah.
think someone put out an appreciation post from there recently online, and like everyone is saying that he's the locker room leader when he's around, and he's just that guy. He has so much time for everybody, and I think myself and yourself, Mark, we saw a bit of him in Wolverhampton, kind of like just kind of letting his hair down and like not like being involved in the wrestling stuff and just having a bit of crack, and like he's just such a lovely person,
Mm-hmm.
and just like having a laugh, like, and he has so much time for everybody. And from the wrestlers that we've spoken to, he has so much time for them. They're always picking his brain, always asking questions, and I'm surprised he's still here. I think we spoke about this recently as well on one of our previous ones. We're surprised he's still here. It's only a matter of time before he gets signed up again. But it was great to see the stuff that he has been doing over here. He's worked a lot of younger guys, and I think he's wanted to do that to see like what that next batch and that next crop are bringing to the table. So, to see him going over there and getting a big match against someone like Jacob Fatu, is huge, and especially after like he should have had his Kingston match, he should have had his Mox match, taken away from him. So to kind of get that big match over there was great to see. But yeah, hopefully we can get our hands on that and have a look at it.
Yeah, like even like I think we've touched on before, like even his running at OTT, like you can kind of see the level he works at, and
Mm-hmm.
when he was in WWE as part of the large psychopath group Sanity, like he was kind of the heater, so he was also the one who would like get double teamed because he's the bigger guy. He wouldn't
Yeah.
have long matches, whereas here in OTT and ICW and all around Brit Res scene, he's having longer matches. He's
Mm-hmm.
proving that he's every bit as good as everybody who's existing in the scene. And he's bringing everybody up to their level. Like we saw it over the OTT Scrapmania weekend with his match with Pac, his four-man match with Pac, Leon Slater and
Coast to
Robbie
coast,
X.
like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but he's everything he does is deliberate. Everything he does is smooth. Everything he does makes sense. He's incredibly well trained. He's been doing this for
Mm-hmm.
20 years, but like there are levels to this. And as you say, like he does bring everybody else up, particularly the younger guys he's been working with, but also the guys behind the camera, like Dennis Murphy. He's been very clear on his kind of praise from helping out everybody top to bottom of the OTT card. And like Matthew Macklin said much the same as well. So, yeah. And as you touched on there, when we were over in Wolverhampton, it's great to see him being able to let his hair down and sink point after point after point. So, yeah, listen, I'm a huge fan of him. I think he should be the
The
champion
only
of
thing I have
every.
against him is that he's a United fan. Like apart from that,
Uh,
like he sound like, but like
I, I don't really mind that, but yeah, he's obviously got an issue with the Glazers anyway. But I
massive.
think yeah, I think he's a legend. I think he should be OTT champion, Red Pro champion, Progress champion. Give him all the belts because he deserves it, and much more than that. Okay, moving on, and it's a slightly more higher profile shows. The Mark Hitchcock Memorial Show, which is an annual show that is featured at the WrestleCon event every year. I attended it last year. Michael Oku was lucky enough to be featured in a multi-man match last year. This year, he was in the opening match. He was in the opening match of the show with Ireland's own Èire in his corner, his lovely girlfriend, versus Blake Christian, who's been recently featured on the Ring of Honor and Supercard of Honor shows. He's been featured in all the recent GCW shows. So this is a big opportunity for Michael Oku, particularly in the opener. He unfortunately went down against Blake Christian, but again, another huge opportunity for Michael to kind of spread his own name following his performance in the Battle of Los Angeles this year with PWG, and obviously his ongoing huge success within the domestic scene here between OTT, Rev Pro, Progress, all across Europe, really. He's probably the most in-demand independent wrestler currently who isn't affiliated or signed with any of the major Japanese or American brands. So, yeah, a huge opportunity for him, and particularly for his recent run at OTT. He's been his interactions with Leon Slater in the Wolves shows, his recent match with LJ up in Belfast, and a number of different multi-man matches he's featured in as well. I think he's been absolutely incredible. So really good to see him in this opportunity position.
Ridiculously talented, and
Mm.
I think that the standard thing that people say is if you're not last, you want to be first. So if he's not in the main, he was out first, and the importance of being out there first, like setting up that tone for the whole show. And that first match is usually promoters heritagely want that red hot opener. They want that really fast, like it can be slow paced at the start, but they want a really fast finish. They want to bring the crowd up. They want to get them into their voices. And I no better man to put OJMO in that position to bring them up, and to get the fans ready for the rest of the card. Yeah, he doesn't have to go over to be a success, but I think massive things to come from Michael. And yeah, again, I think he's another one of them that it's only a matter of time before someone puts a contract in front of him, if he hasn't already had contracts in front of him. I'm sure he still has a few things that he wants to accomplish. And I think maybe Super Juniors could be where we see him pretty soon. I'm kind of anticipating that he's going to be in the next tournament. But yeah, after his bowl appearance. But yeah, great to see him spreading his wings a bit and getting over there. And yeah, you had the crack. He was at Mania as well. I think he did night 2 of Mania. I seen on his socials, and yeah, again, he's just loving life at the moment. Traveling the world, getting to do what he loves. And like that, as you said, Èire, one of our own, from up north. Michael's girlfriend also traveling with him and kind of spreading her wings, and good to see her getting a bit of a push. We've seen her twice, was it 2, maybe 3 times this year over here. Once in NLW, and I think was it once in LW, twice in OTT or something like that. And anyway, but yeah, after her success in the Rev Pro story last year, yeah, it's great to see her again spreading her wings and getting over there as well. So yeah, massive things to come for both of them. But yeah, fair play to the two of them. Who we got else? Who else was around that weekend?
Yeah, the last one I'm going to be touching on for this kind of section from the GCW Collective series. So they, on the Friday night at just gone midnight, that show called For the Culture. Now, on one of those matches, they had a triple threat between MLW's Myron Reed, who is known for being part of the Rascals group. You had Kevin Knight, who is trained by the LA Dojo for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you also had our very own OTT's Man Like Darius. Now, Man Like Darius, as you know, is probably one of the most popular and famous independent wrestlers in all of, I suppose, British Res, OTT Irish scene as well. Like we saw, myself and Colin were looking to see him last night down at RCW, where he was defending the Wrestle Carnival title. He's also been regularly featured in Progress Championship matches against Spike Trivet, TNT Championship matches, OTT Championship matches. Remember, he had a match against Mark Haskins up in Belfast a number of months ago, and it was one of the best matches of 2022. Unfortunately, he wasn't successful in this venture, but Myron Reed came out on top of that. But it was huge exposure to get him on the GCW Collective cards, as well. He seemed to be traveling all around California that weekend as part of the Wrestle Tours Progress crew as well. So I know he posted following that weekend saying he's never been more motivated in his life than following that weekend, getting to experience Wrestlemania, getting to experience all these various different shows, and the real buzz and energy everybody seemed to have from that Wrestlemania circus, I suppose, and all the associated shows. So brilliant to see him getting that exposure at such a young age as well. Like I know the likes of Matt Cardona have touched online, calling him an absolute superstar from his time facing him in TNT and whatnot. So absolutely brilliant to see him. And again, another thoroughly lovely guy. So yeah, sky's the limit for that guy as far as I'm concerned.
He's doing everything the right way. You can't fault him. He's doing
Yeah.
everything. He's going everywhere. He's working everywhere. He's working with everybody. Lyrical Dragon Tour 2022, 50 plus debuts, like mental what he's actually doing. Like that's like if he's the standard for if you want to be a professional wrestler and you want to like make it a career, once you reach the level of being able to perform and you have your character and stuff nailed down, you do what the Reese is doing right now, because like that's the way to do it. And we've seen it, like people are talking about him. Everyone knows who he is. Why? Because he's working everywhere. He's gaining new fans every week. You
Yeah.
know, new fans inside the business and like people who are just attending the shows. But like it's quite the limit for this guy. Like, and it's so entertaining. So
Yeah.
entertaining. He doesn't
Yeah.
take himself too seriously. He can go in there and he can have an absolute banger, or he can also go out there and have the absolute crack and have one of the best comedy matches that you've ever seen as well. He's
Yep.
just so dynamic
Yep.
and yeah, just such a nice guy as well. Like, yeah, fair play. Massive respect for the 0-1-2-1 there. Oh, yeah, the sky's the limit for this guy.
Yeah, and like there's not, and as touched on there, there's nothing he really can't do. Like even when he's having banger matches, he can do it high flying, he can be unbelievably physical as he was at RCW last night. He can be very technical as well. Like he's got a look, he's got an act, he's got a persona, he's got charisma.
Can rap.
He can rap. Yeah, he's got his own entrance music. He's like there's all these rumors of NXT Europe popping up. Like I don't know how you could look further than him. But anyway, yeah. Listen, the sky's the limit for that guy. And from RCW last night in Cork, he was then in Newcastle today, performing for the North, teaming with Leon Slater. So again, he's one of the hardest working people in the scene at the minute. But that's kind of wraps up what we're going to look at and chat about today in regards to the independent wrestling. I know, Colin, you've got a lovely advert to touch on from one of our brilliant sponsors. So take it away.
Yeah, so we were lucky enough. I know we spoke about this before on previous shows, but we have actually got a sponsorship from Manscaped. So thank you very much, Manscaped, for sponsoring our show. Very good guys. They actually sent us on a couple of products, ridiculous like. So just wanted to do a little plug for those guys. So thank you for supporting the Irish Wrestling Podcast. As brought to you by Manscaped. I have to get used to saying that, as brought to you by Manscaped. They're the best in quality for men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered for your family jewels. Um I just can't help but laugh when I say kind of this kind of stuff. It's amazing. Like their taglines are brilliant. Like precision engineered tools for your family jewels. You just can't beat it. They have their performance package 4.0 out now. It's the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. There's currently 8 million men worldwide using Manscaped. And we do have an offer for you if you want to avail of it. It's 20% off and free worldwide shipping. With the code IWE20 to be used at the checkout. You can use that on manscaped.com. So if my math is correct, 8 million people, that's 16 million balls that are currently being used by Manscaped. But yeah, as I said, they actually sent us a performance package 4.0. It's a whopper piece of kit. I was shocked when I actually saw how good it was. The presentation of it was brilliant. Inside the package, the lawnmower 4.0, the weed whacker, which is the nose and ear trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, a pair of boxer briefs, and a travel bag to put everything into. The presentation of this was brilliant. Let's see, can I dig out the picture that I took on the day, and I'll throw it onto this when I'm doing the editing. Hopefully it's on the screen now. But yeah, I wasn't particularly one to use a product like this previously. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I didn't really kind of like look into the whole like below the waist grooming kind of stuff. But I have actually used this, and like it's a whopper bit. Okay. It's
It makes your
very.
kit look a bit more whopper as well, eh?
I think you'd have to ask the missus about that, but Jesus, she's gonna kill me if she sees this. But yeah, like listen, it's a very good product. Yeah, whips through the hair, not a bother. The whole point of the lawnmower is that like it's not meant to nick you. It's more safe. It's where other kind of razors might actually like nick you, which I've done myself on my face a fair few times. As you can see, I have the big thick beard to cut my lip a few times, which is a nasty one. But yeah, one of the things that I said to myself when I saw this kit was that, like I said, that would be great for a present. Just the presentation of it, like it's a big package that the top opens up, the bottom kind of folds out, and everything's there on display in front of you, and it just looks the absolute fucking business. Like, I like that. I was looking at the price online. I can't remember the exact figures, but it was 200 and something quid. It was already reduced down to like 130 or 139 or something. And then you could get another 20% off with us. Like, so like you're getting 200 and something quid worth of kit for a little over 100 quid. And like, I don't think you'd be lucky to get a decent razor for that these days.
Yeah.
You know, where you're getting like the deodorant, the toner, the boxers, and the weed whacker with that, and the travel bag, you know. So like I honestly can't fault them. And I'm not just saying this because they're after sponsoring us. I have used it. It is deadly. I'm really happy with it. If it was shit, I'd sit here and tell you that it's shit. Like, but it's not. It is very good. And I think they have the new Weed Whacker 2.0 coming out, which they said that they're gonna send on to us as well. I'm sure when we get that, I'll use it, I'll review it, I'll let you know how it is. I hate doing the ears and the nose because they get really stubbly when it grows back and stuff. But like, yeah, this gets rid of it very easily. Like, and I use it every couple of days. It's brilliant. But yeah, Manscaped, thank you very much for your sponsorship. And please, guys, if you can, support those by supporting them. You know, so yeah, I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about Manscaped on our coming shows as well. But we're going to take a little quick break now, and we'll be back very shortly. Hey folks, welcome back to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. We're going to dive straight back in now. Mark, what else have you got for us? Are we done with the indies? Are we on to the mainstream stuff now?
Yeah, so we're done with the independent stuff. So now we're going to have a quick chat about the NXT Stand and Deliver show from the Friday or Saturday morning of this past Mania weekend. Now we're going to kind of do a high level. There's 4 matches we're going to talk about. 2 we're going to go on a slightly deeper dive because we've got Irish participants. We're also going to touch on 2 matches that features NXT or OTT alumni. So there was kind of a couple of funny matches in these NXT shows. First one I'm going to touch on is the NXT Tag Team Championship match. Featured Gallus, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang versus the Creed brothers, Brutus and Judas Creed, versus the family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing, Stacks, Lorenzo. Now, just at a high level, let's give you an idea of what the quality of the match was like. It was Meltzer gave this 1 3/4 stars. So this featured 2 relatively seasoned wrestlers in Wolfgang and Mark Coffey against 4 WWE NXT Performance Center recruits, 4 relatively green rookies who don't have a huge amount of experience. They'll be thrown into this huge spot in the crypto.com arena, former Staples Center, on a huge premium live event for WWE. And it was kind of telling throughout that they weren't quite up to that speed. Like the Creed brothers do their kind of not generic, maybe their typical hot tag. They come in, they'll do their wrestler throws, a couple of power moves, but technically they can get lost quite a lot. Tony D'Angelo, he's been in quite a number of big spots. Like he's done War Games matches in NXT and stuff before. But again, like can be sometimes be a bit lost in terms of what he's trying to do.
I think his character is above his wrestling in some
Yeah.
points. Like I think he has a very good character, but wrestling abilities, I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, so he's a well-defined character, but again, it's not the type of character that necessarily could translate hugely into mainstream wrestling. If you put him on main roster, like he might have a couple of month run, like I'm Tony D'Angelo, Tony Soprano type thing, but then like how long does that take you? Channing, Stacks, Lorenzo, didn't really get an awful lot of him. I never really have, but it was good to see Gallus, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang get the win, particularly kind of 2 seasoned Brit Res wrestlers in ICW scene, and having previously featured an OTT as well, and 2 very big Celtic fans, which is really important. Celtic beat Rangers today 3-2 in the Scottish Premier League to go 12 points clear at the top of the SPL. So the Anders, you can tell by their ring gear, it's all black and green and white. So I'm delighted they won on a personal level. Yeah, so like that's all I'm really going to be touching on. Did you have any further takeaways from that match yourself, Colin?
Oh, like it didn't set the world alight. Like it wasn't the best match in the card by any means. It was okay. Like it's
like
I would have liked to see a bit more. Like the happy for the lads. We did get a Joe Coffey return as well. At the end, but yeah, like listen, I'm interested to see where they go, what they can do, if they can build themselves up to because I don't think at the moment that they don't have main roster appeal to them to me at the moment. Definitely their wrestling is better than the other guys around them in my opinion, but I think there's still a bit for them to go, and I'd like to see them do a bit more, before they do get a call up if that is their calling. But I think adding Joe into the mix then is going to potentially add another layer to them now as well. He could potentially go on into singles action and then kind of build the Gallus team like that he had in NXT UK, where they're kind of firing on all cylinders all over the card. But yeah, like good for the lads. Good to see them in that spot. Good to see them on that type of show, such a big show, WrestleMania weekend. But yeah, more looking forward to seeing where they go and what they have to do from here. Like,
Okay, yeah, much agreed. The next match we're going to touch on, it was from the NXT pre-show. Now, this is for the winner gets control of Chase University. Now, I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean you get funding from alumni? Does that mean you get government grants? What is Chase University? What do they specialize in? I don't know. Now, having said that, people in the match are quite good actually. So it was Chase University and Tyler Bate. The Chase University are comprised of Andre Chase, who himself has had quite a long career in the independent scene over in America. Duke Hudson, who's had about 10 different gimmicks in NXT and about 4 or 5 different names since he joined WWE. He's also made his NXT or his WWE Raw main roster debut and had a number of different matches back in 2020 at the start of COVID. He had some of the best online content of any WWE wrestler on the main roster or developmental system. His tag is 6'5". If anyone wants to follow him on Instagram, he used to do his own YouTube series where he'd essentially just go around and take the piss out of all the other Australian wrestlers who are signed for WWE. And play a somewhat like deluded, arrogant character. Probably close to real life. He was one of the biggest names to come out of the Australian independent scene, and there was huge hype around him when he first signed for WWE. So it's kind of a shame that he's had about 3 or 4 different gimmicks. He was a card dealer a while ago. Don't know what that was about. He's now in Chase University. Is he a student? Is he an alumni? Is he a lecturer? Is he a tutor? What's he doing in the university? God knows. Thea Hale, who is a college athlete, I believe, signed to WWE in the past couple of years. I may be wrong. She might be signed as part of that NIL program. But again, I apologize if I'm incorrect in that. And teaming them with one of OTT's favorite sons, who was on last year's 8th anniversary weekend show in Wolverhampton, Tyler Bate. Now, Tyler Bate, obviously famed for his time in the Brit Wrestling scene as part of Mustache Mountain with Trent Seven and Pete Dunne and British Strong Style. He's now, following his time in NXT UK in main roster NXT, he's now doing a hippie meditation gimmick. Now, Tyler might like meditating. He might like that kind of holistic lifestyle, but it's a gimmick that he really shouldn't be straddled with because he's fucking incredible. Sorry for swearing, but he's absolutely unbelievable in everything he does. He's still in his 20s. Like, he should have been on the main roster in WWE years ago, in my opinion. He's had unlimited potential for years, but again, this kind of shows how strange the ideas and booking of WWE NXT can be. Speaking of strange, they were against the Schism. So they're against Joe Gacy, Rip Fowler, Jack Reed, and Èire Rain. Èire Rain is known for being the daughter of The Rock, and being a very young up-and-coming wrestler within WWE NXT. Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, of course, are grizzled young veterans who have just recently given their WWE releases and hopefully be reappearing in the Irish Independent and British Independent wrestling scene soon, particularly with the OTG Tag Team tournament on the horizon. Fingers crossed we get to see them again. And the former Sam McCallahan's protege, Joe Gacy, as the leader of the Schism. This match was awarded 2.5 stars by Meltzer. It was fine. It was
generous.
pre-show match. Generous, fine. Like, I think a lot of that was to do with some of the wrestlers in the match who were quite good. Now, obviously, it was very evident that the likes of Ava and Thea Hale were incredibly green. Andre Chase, grizzled young veterans, Joe Gacy, Tyler Bate, they're all incredibly experienced wrestlers. Now, when you're in WWE, you're given strict instructions. You can't particularly for a pre-show match, you can't go above and beyond yourself. You can't put the worlds to rights from the very opening bell. You're given
Yeah.
strict parameters how good you can and can't do. You've got to make things very basic, just get the crowd slightly interested. So to get a 2.5 star for a pre-show match, not a bad return, particularly when your hand or handcuffs like that. The match itself was oh my God, Duke Hudson was teasing leaving university to join a cult.
Yeah,
He
he
took off
switched
his
twice, didn't he?
yeah, he took
Switched
off
twice.
his education university t-shirt, put on a cult t-shirt, took the t-shirt off, and then won a match. It was what it was. It's good to see all these guys featured in a main event, or not a main event, rather a large show, premium live event spot. But again, possibly this is why Grizzled Young veterans have requested their release.
Yeah.
From this kind of
They're too good to be in that spot. Like
yeah,
they and what's the tag team tournament called?
the
The
for the OTT tag team tournament,
no, the NXT one. The NXT
the
tournament.
Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Dusty Rhodes Classic. They went to the final of that twice. You know, and now here they are in a pre-show. Like they're too good to be in that spot. They should be in the big tag match on the NXT show minimum, if not already in WWE. I'm not entirely like I don't know enough about James Drake to be commenting too much on him, but I've seen enough of Zach Gibson to know that he is too good to be there. Now, I only saw James Drake because when Zach used to come over, he didn't come over with James Drake. He came over as part of Rapture, which was usually with Charlie and Sha Samuels. So like James wouldn't have been with him back then. I think James was over with him once, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't really remember, to be honest. So I would have seen a lot more of Zach. And Zach is just too good. He draws too much heat. His character is brilliant. He's brilliant on the mic. He's very good in the ring. I think I saw him over here. Was it himself against Devlin in the Point or the Tree Arena on a WWE show? Like, and he set the thing alight. Like, he's too good. And he like this spot, I can understand why they put in for the release because of that. And then the exact same thing for Tyler. Why is Tyler in this spot? Like Tyler did the second NXT UK champion, held it for ages, had banger after banger, and he's in the show opener. Like I'm not surprised when people are putting in for the releases because of this kind of stuff. It really kind of, if that's not the writing on the wall for them and that's not the higher ups telling them like this is all you're worth to us, like then like people are just kidding themselves like if they're thinking anything else. But like I feel bad for the guys. I think the focus and I think the Vince logic probably looking at it was like, oh, fourth generation superstar in our first match. And I think that's what all the talk was in the lead up. I think that's gonna be the takeaway. It's gonna be anything that WWE are talking about, and all Vince is gonna want is that fourth generation superstar. And it's about getting Èire up as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But if that's at other people's detriment, I just don't understand it. Like, there's ways of doing it without being detrimental to others. Like, and there's plenty of other people on that roster that could have slot into that pre-show slot, who could have used an opportunity like that to get that TV time, to get that pre-show opener. That's not people who like probably should have been above that. And then when you see some people that were on the show that probably shouldn't have been on the show and they could have taken their spot. Again, you talked about the people that were in that tag team match. Why aren't Zach Gibson and James Drake in that match? You know, as Grizzly Young veterans, why are they in this schism thing? I just don't get it. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's my rant over.
Hey, spot on. Like, I mean, why is Zach Gibson one of the best talkers come out of the Brit Res scene suddenly a mute? Like,
Yeah.
why are you handcuffing a guy that is intentionally doing that because you haven't created him? Why is he suddenly got white eyeballs? God knows. Yeah, and Tyler Bate, like, do you know the Vince McMahon thing years ago when he saw Draws could puke? We're gonna call him puke because
Yeah.
he can get sick. Like Tyler Bate, oh, he meditates. Let's make him a hippie. Like, what the fuck? Like, a lot of people meditate. That's bizarre. Like, doesn't make define character. You don't have to have one little niche that defines your whole.
Yeah.
You can be a multiple layered person. Anyway, yeah, it's WWE for you though.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to the good
Anyway,
stuff.
perfect.
Good
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. So moving on from following that negative rant, the ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship, we had Zoe Starks versus Gigi Dolan versus Tiffany Stratton versus her very own Lyra Valkyria versus Indy Hartwell. Now, Dave gave it 3.5 star. I may have given this 4 myself. I was very impressed with this. Now this was I'd say it was a heavily produced ladder match, but that's to be expected given the differing levels of experience in this match. You have 2 to 3 people who've got kind of vast indie experience, and particularly being a ladder match with so many variables and things you can't control in it. Like
Mhm.
there wasn't any ridiculous spots like you might have seen from the Supercard of Honor spot the night before, or yeah,
The
like
only
it
thing
was
that was missing, I think, in my opinion, was those big, massive ladder spots. We did get a few ladder spots, and what was there was very good, but we were missing those big, kind of like memorable spots. There was no big, massive, kind of like, I don't know, power bomb, fucking suplex combo onto a setup ladder or something,
yeah,
like there was no big elaborate spot. And I think probably down to some of the girl skill levels in the match, and probably a lot of them haven't done a ladder match before or been in this type of gimmick match. So I can kind of understand why they did it, but I was still very entertained by it.
yeah,
But I do think that all it was missing from, and again with NXT with ladder matches, you usually see those bigger spots. And I
yeah.
think that's all that was missing was that big monumental spot.
I think the biggest spot we probably saw from the whole thing was Tiffany Stratton diving from top to the outside where she wasn't caught,
Yeah.
and she took a big old clatter from the back. Um, I think she surprised a huge amount of people. I think a lot of people, when they saw her gimmick, made a huge amount of incorrect assumptions about her. Now, she had come from a gymnastics and bodybuilding background prior to being signed to WWE, so she's incredibly athletic, incredibly conditioned, and incredibly hard worker. And you can
Mhm.
kind of see that she's going the full way in with her gimmick as well. There was a lot of discussion online when Mandy Rose was released for various different reasons, that a lot of the reasons why WWE weren't overly concerned about re-signing her in the future despite her popularity was they believed as a wrestler and as a talent going forward with a higher ceiling, they had Tiffany Stratton in the back pocket. And considering they're on the same brand, Tiffany Stratton, even though she's far greener in terms of experience, very soon could be delivering far higher quality matches. So that's just a tidbit on her. Gigi Dolan, of course, has spent time working with Toxic Attraction with Mandy Rose and others. And she's also spent time in the independent scene as well. So she added a great big deal of experience. Zoe Stark has been an NXT kind of creation, a performance center creation. And then the one me and you had our high hopes on, were praying that she'd come out with the victory, was Lyra Valkyrie, our very own Eva Valkyrie. And since she's debuted in WWE, it's been absolutely brilliant to see how much they've put behind her in terms of presentation
Production is
and
massive behind it.
production,
Yeah. Yeah.
promo videos where
Mhm.
she's running through the woods. Don't know if they're Irish trees or not, but anyway, she's been absolutely brilliant, and I think she's kind of really stood out in that NXT field where she's not an overly produced wrestler. Like a lot of her stuff seems fluid and
Mhm.
original and unique compared to a lot of the other wrestlers you kind of see who've come through either an American independent background or our performance center productions, really. So again, I was incredibly impressed with her and delighted she gets to be on such a high level spot. But again, kind of good that she didn't end up coming out with the NXT Women's Championship at the back of this.
Yeah, she didn't look out of place at all, and that was the worry. With when you see the company putting so much into someone, my worry, and not that I'm doubting Aoife's ability at all, but like the worry was that like she might not be ready for it, or it's a big match for her, or they're after putting so much into the production that if something were to go wrong, it potentially kills her. But she definitely didn't look out of place. She was absolutely brilliant in this match, in my opinion. The majority of her work was with Gigi Dolan. They had 3 or 4 spots together. Obviously when the match was being put together, this is stuff that they're probably talking about, who was working with who. But her and Gigi had a lot going on, so I think we could see something more with that down the line. And she took some big bumps as well. Like she took a few ladder bumps, and she took I know you said about the dive to the outside, but I think that the biggest bump of the match was probably Lyra Valkyria coming off the top of the ladder, and just before the finish. Um, so yeah, like some big bumps, and she was like, she didn't look out of place. She looked like she fit. She didn't look nervous. There wasn't really a misstep. And it was great to see, because that was the worry. It's like that, when you see someone that you've watched for so long and you're just concerned that they just do well. And that's what I was like watching the match. I was just overly concerned that she just does well, and she did, and I think she can be really proud of herself, and I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of where she goes. But the stuff that they're putting behind her, I think potentially, like, based on her build over the last couple of months, like, I think it's only a matter of time before she gets a strap on her as well. Like, and the rocket is firmly stuck to her. So yeah, well done to Aoife there, and yeah, really looking forward to what she has to come here.
And what you said in that, like a lot of these kind of opportunities when you're given such a big platform is you kind of do worry about somebody harming their chances going forward in
Yeah,
WWE just based on perceptions around how people are treated and whatnot, or rumors backstage and whatnot. If somebody misses up a spot, that could hold them back a number of months. And the fact that she seemed to excel in a number of her own interactions in that match and being one of the main kind of standout performers in that match, I think everybody watching with an Irish perspective, an Irish point of view, be incredibly proud and excited for what's going forward.
yeah.
I'd say like kind of out of that kind of bunch of wrestlers available there, she'd be kind of the leading candidate in my view to be challenging Indy Hartwell off the back of that, who was
Hmm.
the eventual winner of the match. So, and she does have because her production, her gimmick, her character, in ring work all seem down. Like she knows exactly what she's doing in every moment. She knows who she is, or like as the famous question goes, what's the name or what did your character get for their 10th birthday? If
Yeah.
you're a farmer, who knows? Um, yeah, so exactly. So I think she's very much down, and going forward, if she was to be brought up to the main roster, I think she would have the opportunity to excel personally. Then moving on to our last match from the NXT card, we had the NXT North American Championship being defended in a multi-man scramble match as well. Champion Wesley took on the recently signed Dragon Lee versus our very own JD McDonough, Jordan Devlin, Ilya Dragunov, and the former A Kid Axiom. Now, this was given 4.5 stars by Meltzer and the Observer. Rightly deserved, I thought, compared to a lot of other matches from the weekend who may have been given higher marks or for lesser performances, in my view. So I was delighted to see Jordan having a number of spots within this match where it looked like he was about to win. There was one spot where he looked like he was set to pin. Ilya Dragunov stopped the referee, counting his hand down to three. I don't,
Brilliant
as
spot.
a wrestling tidbit, I don't see how that should stop somebody from winning a match. But
Brilliant
that's just
spot.
maybe, yeah,
Just
I
the
know,
whole
but
the
it's just,
whole build up to it was
yeah,
brilliant. I think it yeah, I get what you mean.
mm,
It should still count as a tree or whatever, but
mm,
I think the whole build up to that's like I took a couple of notes, and straight away that sequence kind of ran in, and like I don't think we need to go on about how good the guys in the match were. They're all
mm,
brilliant. Like
yeah,
they banged. It was a really hot match, whatever. But that sequence of Jordan being on the apron, Axiom coming for the slide, Jordan up the moonsault to the outside, and then he gets back up, corkscrew back onto the inside, into a Spanish fly, Devlin side into the pin. I thought it was over. Like I
mm,
thought that was it. I thought you had a one, and then for Dragunov, the arch enemy, we know their history, to come in and grab the ref's hand before he gets down for the tree. I just think it adds that extra layer to their feud,
mm,
and when people potentially thinking that is it over? Obviously not. But then also to show that Jordan or JD or whatever he's going with, JD McDonough, he was the only person who would have won that match. So
mm,
what does that set him up to do then in the future? I don't know. The future is very bright for Devlin. I think we know how hot they are on him. They put the Cruiserweight Championship on him out of the blue a couple of years ago, which says more than anything. So I think
mm.
it's only a matter of time before he gets the North American title or gets moved into the NXT title picture, and like we know how good he is. He can hang with the best that's in there. Like he's brilliant,
Mm.
and he stood out in this match. He had plenty of spots, and we've saw what he can do at the indie level. And yeah,
Mm.
like the world's his oyster. Like he can go anywhere. Like I think he just needs their backing, but I
Mm.
think he has that as well. So hopefully it continues that way, and I think it's only a matter of time from.
100%. I think you made an interesting point there about like himself and Ilya seeming having like parallel paths. I think
Mm,
you'll probably see them being moving up the card in NXT at a similar pace and trajectory. So by maybe a year's time, I don't know if they haven't been moved to a main roster or given an opportunity main roster, you could see them two being in a NXT championship match against each other
Yeah.
as that kind of focal point for the company, that they've been slowly moved up gradually. They're put into the deep end straight away and then been brought back down. A personal rivalry. That personal rivalry's been injected into a championship match. They'll probably step away, have more matches with each other, and might go separate paths and come back together at a higher level then. I think it's been very carefully crafted, and I think it's been very well done. And I think there's neither of the two of them seem to be looking the weaker than the other. And I think they've done a very good job of raising people's awareness and perception of the pair of them, which is brilliant, obviously, from an Irish and European perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cracking for the guys that were on that NXT card anyway. But let's move on to the main event. Like we 2 nights of WrestleMania and a few of the Irish lads on that. And really excited about what they did. Well,
Yeah,
extent.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the first one we're going to look at is the 6-man tag between the women's match between Becky Lynch, Trish, and Lita versus Damage Control of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Now that was given 2 3/4 star in the Observer. Now I know you have some of your own views in this match on the results, way the match was placed. Should this been a singles and a tag, maybe split out into 2 matches? What are your own views in this, first of all?
So my notes I wrote down, it was what it was. You know, that's all I can say. Like, listen, I'm a massive Becky fan, and I know how good she is. We've seen how good she is. She's the pinnacle. If anyone watched the Tommy Turn and stuff, and I know how controversial or he made her look like a tick or whatever, but like she is the man. And what she said was that like she's usually the top of the card when she's on it. She's main evented Raw twice over the last 2 months. There's a reason for that. You know, like she's the draw. She draws the people in. She's in that spot. This match, I get why it was on. I get why it was there. Right, 2 legends, Lita, Trish, bring them in, have the match. I'm sure they were all buzzing. I'm sure Becky was buzzing. I'm sure Bayley, Io, Dakota, we're all buzzing to have that match with her. And fair play to them. I'm sure they loved it. I'm sure they had a good time. Great, good nostalgia. Worked with your heroes, your legends. From a fan perspective, I would have preferred to see Becky versus Bayley in a singles. The match would have been better. Becky and Bayley would have put on a bit of a banger. I think it could have even rivaled Rhea and Charlotte from the weekend. Put a stip on it, #1 contenders match. I don't know why they don't do #1 contenders matches anymore. It was my bread and butter growing up. You always had a #1 contenders match on the card. Why not do it? I just think it would have been better. Again, I get why it was on the card. I just think I would have rather to see a singles, and Lita kind of shit the bed a bit. She was. I'm gonna. I think I'll be generous to say she was missing a step. She was probably missing about 10. I don't know if it was her engine or what it was, but she just wasn't in it. It just looked a bit sloppy. Trish was better of the two. I just think that the few little botches, the missteps, the slowness kind of just took me out of it a bit. And yeah, I think the rating is probably right. Might be a little bit generous, but potentially we could have had a 5-star banger if it was a singles.
Yep, 100% agreed. And I think when you had the 4 horsewomen of NXT, the 2 ones that are going to be pushed from the outset were Charlotte and Sasha Banks, and the 2 that kind of proved everybody wrong, and the 1 out of the 4 of them proved she was the best out of all 4 was Becky Lynch, and she was probably the least favorite of all 4. And then following that, you had Bayley. By the time she left NXT, she was probably recognized as being the best in ring. The matches she had with Sasha Banks and a few other people, she stayed longer in NXT.
Yeah.
Then through COVID, Bayley was given the opportunity to expand herself as a kind of comedy character as well. And then when she came back at SummerSlam at the end of Bianca Belair and Becky, there was a lot of excitement for what Bayley could do going forward. There was also excitement for what the return of Io Sky and Dakota Kai would signify. I think they've just been brought in to be Bayley's pals rather than being anything themselves. And I fully agree with you. I think, first of all, you'd have had a far, far, far better match, Becky versus Bayley, and I think the 2 of them deserve a match like that, given their careers and where their stature within the company. Now, I understand Becky idolized Trish, Lita, so did they all. Brilliant, okay. I don't understand why Lita's champion with Becky. Why isn't Lita champion with Trish? Why don't you do the two of them together against Dakota Sky and Io Sky, and so the two of them can be raised in public perception as well,
Mhm.
instead of just having Becky and pals versus Bailey and pals? What's the point in that? If you're going to do that, why don't you just have Becky versus Bailey and four people on the outside who get thrown out by the referee? You're out of here after 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
What's the point in that? But anyway, again, 2 3/4 stars, probably generous. 2.5, probably fair. Again, it was a nice WrestleMania moment getting to see having legends come back. But when you think about people who didn't feature on the card, when other previous older ex stars have featured, it can leave a kind of a curious taste in the mouth. Anyway, moving on, then to one of the featured matches the entire weekend was Finn Balor versus Edge. Meltzer gave this 3 3/4 stars. This was a Hell in the Cell match. Now there's been funny takes from this match since it's come out. Like, I myself was kind of confused as to who Edge was. He kind of came out initially in his entrance with, as the screen's reading, Brood Edge. He's come out, he's got wings, he's got a reflective mirror mask, then it disappears, then he's Edge again. Then they're in the Hell in the Cell. Edge can only use weapons that are painted in red. Finn can only use weapons that are painted in purple. That's just a kind of WWE trope that kind of annoys me personally.
Mhm.
And I understand that purple and red are the opposite of each other. That's what the two combined things. But I think people are more intelligent than you give them the credit for, and you don't need to whack people over the head with it with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think Finn overall for this match, first of all, before I touch on Finn, I think Edge will have learned from his match with AJ Styles at Mania last year. I think he had a one-on-one match with AJ Styles last year and realized that he probably can't go like he would have done previously, and it didn't meet expectations. Now that's why he's gone for a Hell in a Cell match with all sorts of gimmicks and outside antics and whatnot, purely to kind of take away from the fact that he's a man in his late 40s, and can't deliver a match of 20 minutes quality on the biggest stage possible where he'd be looking for a 5-star match or whatever. And to kind of compensate for that, he's then got a cage structure he can build around. He's using his Brood Edge gimmick. Finn has his demon gimmick, and there's so many other influences that can kind of take away from, or that can kind of ignore the areas he's lacking in with his advanced stage, I suppose, and coming back from a neck injury also as well. Finn, bloody delighted to see him get this spot. I think it was well overdue having a singles match at WrestleMania, given he was
Mhm.
off the card off a 2-day event last year, given he's even at 41 years old, he can wrestle anybody in the world and still give them as good a match as anybody else in the world. And it's, I don't know what, be it if it was Vince McMahon holding him back for years, or Triple H, now that he came into relative creative control, said, no, you're getting your opportunity, you deserve this, or Edge decided Finn's the person he wanted to face. But it's brilliant to see him. Obviously, one of the big talking points of the match was Finn getting his head busted open by a ladder. And within the space of about 2 minutes, getting his head stapled up and anestheticked by a doctor at ringside. And Edge and the cameraman doing a brilliant job to kind of take away from that. One thing that really annoyed me, it's kind of the contrived nature of Finn jumping off the cell. Why is there suddenly a little platform built
Platform
into the
there,
cell?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like, and but not even like the camera isn't done in a way to avoid that platform. It was quite obvious there's a little ledge being built out of it.
yeah,
That means like it's contrived, it's convoluted. You're not trying to disguise it. Nobody, even children, be like, "Oh, why is that there? Is that for cameraman? Or what is it for?"
yeah, yeah.
Nothing like that was explained. Michael Cole was like, "Oh, from one of our production area ledges or something like that." But it just seemed a bit contrived for me, and that kind of takes away from what you're about to see for that spot sometimes. And in much the same
Yeah.
way as you've seen in when people do high dives onto crash pads. That was just something for me. But again, I understand not everybody would have had the same gripe as I would have.
They could have literally just stuck a gimmick camera or a light or something on it,
Yeah,
and then as he's getting up, throw it off, and then stand up on it instead. It's
yeah,
fairly simple to explain it away, like,
yeah.
than just do nothing and just have a pad there. Yeah, it was a bit odd.
Yeah. I don't understand why Edge won either. I know he pinned Finn at Clash at the Castle as well.
Mm.
So I don't see why he needs
I
to.
was full. I was full sure that Finn was winning that match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I don't know why he didn't. Um, especially with Rhea and Dom. I know Dom didn't win, but his performance, I think, elevated him enough. But then Rhea's win as well, and then Dom still running that storyline with Ray. I just think that having two of the guys losing now, I just don't know how it sets up the group. It's just a bit weird. But I was really happy to see him in the spot.
Mhm.
Really happy with the match. I thought that it went really well. The spots in the match were very good. Again, looking aside from the brew thing, why it was there, and looking away from the platform, I think it went really well. There was a lot of talk about whether the finish was rushed. Now, I didn't think so at the time, and I actually went back and I looked, and I still don't think that it was. So I looked at the timings of it, and there's 10 minutes before he got cut. So from bell to when he got hit with the ladder, it's 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Then they lost 4 minutes due to the cut.
Mhm.
And then they still did another 7 minutes.
Mhm.
So I don't know if, like, there was people saying, the likes of Meltzer, Sean Ross were saying, oh, it was rushed, or they rushed to the finish after the cut. I don't think it was, because they still did 7 minutes and about another 5 or 6 big spots afterwards.
Yeah.
So like, if they're rushing to the finish, surely they finish it within a minute or two, like not 7 minutes later, and a load of spots. But um anyway, I thought the story that they told was very good. I thought that the finish was very good, the concerto finish. I loved that Finn went for the coup de grace through the table that Edge got off, took a massive spear, Edge pin. You think it's over, and he still kicks out. And the look on Edge's face, I think, said it all. Like, how the fuck can I beat this fella? And I think that in itself kind of elevates the Demon and Finn to, like, he's bigger now because he's after kicking out of this. Like, so
Mhm.
it's gonna take more to beat him. And like, Edge had to then take out the chairs and give him a concerto to win the match. So I like that side of things. I think it made Finn look very strong. And I'm kind of, I don't know where they go from here though. That's the only thing.
Mhm.
Like, they have Damian Priest going with Bad Bunny, looks like, at Backlash. Where does Finn go from here? Like, they're after making him look strong. He's after losing, but he's after looking strong in losing.
Mhm.
But where does he go? I don't know where the next step is from here. And that's the only thing that, like, I don't see.
Yeah. I don't understand why they, if he's going to lose, why they use the demon gimmick. Like, I know they use the demon gimmick purely to make for more smoke and mirrors for Edge and his
Yeah,
elderly age and his crippled body or whatever. But I don't see why the demon gimmick, who was so heavily, heavily protected for years, never really lost ever, suddenly loses in a match that he didn't need to lose. Why wasn't it just Finn Balor lost to Edge? Finn Balor can kick out of a spear, but he doesn't need to kick out of a concerto. Finn Balor's still a world champion. Of course, he can kick out of one finisher.
yeah.
And again, yeah, there's nowhere. If that's the ultimate Finn Balor, that's his peak form as the Demon, and he's losing to somebody who's retiring in a few months. Where does that leave him going forward? And again, he's then back to being a cheerleader on the edge on the outside for Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, or for Dom and Damian Priest now. Um, I kind of I understand why Damian Priest wasn't on the Mania card, so he can be built up for the Hispanic audience for the Puerto Rico match at
Mm.
Backlash with Bad Bunny. But you're absolutely spot on. Where does that leave Finn Balor? He's the odd man out there. Then, he's just going to be the cheerleader on the outside. And like, listen, going into that match, as I think he flagged on social media today, he had a torn calf, and he, in the space of 3 weeks, completely rehabbed it and back just in time so he can get fit and be able to participate in the match. So maybe he needs time off. Maybe he needs to be able time to recover and recuperate his body and do a couple of house shows where he's just standing on the outside or whatnot. So if that's the case, more power to him. I'm delighted for him. Getting that big spot.
Potentially a change the result
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well. I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
Okay, folks. Right now we have a competition for you guys. We have been given 2 tickets for Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling on the 16th of April in Dolan's in Limerick. It's the Hard Knocks Undisputed show. As you might know, myself, Jerry, and Liz do commentary for the show. So thank you to Steve and Leon, who run Hard Knocks, for providing those tickets to us that we can give away to you guys. Very simple. All we want us to do is, on this video, just please like and subscribe it, and please drop a comment and let us know your favorite thing about WrestleMania weekend to do with Irish wrestling or one of our Irish alums. We're going to do this on a couple of our shows this week. So if you want to watch our next show and enter on that one as well, then you'll have two chances of winning. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick everyone's names from the comments, and we're going to stick them into a draw, and then we're going to pull that person out, and that person will win 2 tickets for the show next Sunday in Dolan's. Very good shows. Love the first two. I'm absolutely loving Hard Knocks, and I don't just say that because I do commentary there. I am absolutely loving it. Like, I'm having such a fun time. I think the wrestling is top quality. I'm really buzzing for this week. Yeah, more of that will be out during the week and what is to come on that show. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So if you want to enter, if you want to win those tickets, just please drop a comment, like, subscribe this video. And again, the next video that we put out in a few days as well. But yeah, so we'll finish up with our main event that we said that we leave till the end, Mark, because in my opinion was one of, if not the match of the weekend. Definitely something that a lot of people were talking about. So I'll let you roll in and introduce what that match was.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you were a casual fan who wasn't following any product closely, I think you could come away from that weekend thinking this is one of the best things you've ever seen. Which is all the more impressive, in my opinion, the fact that this was a triple threat. Triple threats typically only excel when you've got either high stakes, be it a world title, or if it's multiple, I'll say, more dynamic or athletic, flippy type wrestlers.
Yeah.
Now, to have 3 very similar style type wrestlers who aren't necessarily the quickest, most athletic, most acrobatic, but you have 3 of the hardest working, 3 of the most physical and committed wrestlers, and 3 of the most psychologically sound wrestlers in one match. And the fact that they all come from one small part of the world makes it all more impressive, where there hasn't been a huge lineage and history of performers from this part of the world performing at such a high level stage. And even more impressive, given that Gunther, the former Walter, has been performing within the BritRes and Irish scene over the past couple of years as well. So in this match was Sheamus versus Drew versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, awarded this 5-star. I've seen other publications give us more, a higher awards rather, more stars for their various different ratings. But for me, this was the wrestling match of the weekend. As a single standalone match whereby you're not concerned about your favorites, or you're not concerned about permutations of somebody's career or previous long-term rivalry. As one standalone wrestling match between 3 different participants, this was incredible. This was brutal, physical. There was a story told from start to finish. It wasn't convoluted or contrived as you can find in a lot of multi-man matches where people are waiting for spots or they're setting each other up for elaborate cooperative pieces of work. That can kind of,
Routines.
yeah, routines,
Yeah.
and that can kind of take you like, oh, suddenly you've got 4 people on the outside waiting for somebody to dive over the top. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
takes you out of the match. This was the majority of this match was spent in the ring as well. I love wrestling that happens between the ropes. The longer a match stays between the ropes, the less dives there are, the less throws out to the outside, the more I enjoy it. Now, I know Drew had one hugely impressive dive over the top rope in this match. And it was special because there was no other dives. It
Yeah.
was special because he's a huge, huge man, and he was able to show his athletic ability that he can do that when needs be. Gunter, the new improved svelte Walter, has lost none of his power despite him losing probably 3/4 of his body weight. Himself and Sheamus in particular, I thought battered the piss out of each other. It was really refreshing to see how excited Michael Cole was, and it didn't seem forced. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the time, he can be, oh my, what a maneuver, switching gears, all that kind of stuff. And he can be animated, but he's animated because Pat McAfee's animated, or Corey Graves
Yeah.
animated, or somebody in his ear tell him to be animated, or he's animated because it's the main event and he thinks he should be animated. This was an early in the day match. The sun was still out. Fans were just kind of enjoying themselves. This is a match where people forgot, like, oh, that we're watching WrestleMania. Oh no, we're watching an incredible wrestling match.
Yeah.
This the atmosphere of the show changed from people happy to be at the event and the spectacle to watching a wrestling event, which is incredibly special and deserves every accolade and plaudit that it got, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable match. I loved it. I was highly anticipating this match coming in. I was slightly worried that it may not deliver. As you do with these types of big matches, there's always that worry of, oh, what if it's a shit show? But like the lads absolutely delivered. If and because that anticipation was so high, I think that worry was there that it wasn't going to deliver. But a lot of people have said that they over delivered. They over delivered what was expected of them. And that expectation was already massive. So I think that says as much about that match. Um, just three big fuckers slapping the piss out of each other. And
Mm,
it was it it's very rare that you see these fights, these brawls, these brutal contests inside a ring, especially inside a WWE wrestling ring. I don't think we see enough of them. Like you could say, oh well, we have Brock or we have Goldberg, right? So Brock hits a few suplexes or throws someone to the outside or throws them through the barricade. It's very overproduced, I think. Where with these three men, they just stood in there and they literally just beat the shit out of each other. And you could see it on their bodies. And that's something that you don't see in WWE. You don't usually see the bruises, the welts, the marks across the neck, the chest, and they all had them. Um, Sheamus, I think, has the build has been behind Sheamus. He's been going on about this Grand Slam for the last year or so, and I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't pull the trigger on it, but I'm not overly disappointed if that makes sense. I would have liked them to get there, but I do think that they do need to do it soon. I think
mm.
they need to get the payoff soon because they have been going on about it for a long time, and I think we need to get to that payoff. Drew being added into the Intercontinental picture is very good. I really enjoyed it. The dynamic between him and Sheamus, brilliant. But then like there's so many near falls in this match as well. But Gunther, breath of fresh air in WWE. He just he has it. He knows how to tell a story. He knows the psychology of a match. He knows how to work a match. He can work it against a big fucker, or he can work it against someone who's half his size. He knows how to do it. He has it. And I think Triple H spoke very highly of him in his press conference. And it wouldn't surprise me if this guy is WWE champion in the next year or two because they're so high on him and he can work so well. Um, but yeah, going back to the Irishman, little bit disappointed that Sheamus didn't get the big win here. He's definitely been getting his flowers the last year. We saw that clash, we saw that mania. I think they need to give him that win now because he's had the two disappointments now. I think he needs to get there now. And I'd be a little bit disappointed if they go away from it and he doesn't get there.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it there that like each of them had their own slightly different narratives kind of going into it. I think Gunther as being this kind of now final boss character that he's being portrayed as.
Mhm.
And there's been, before going into Mania, on the assumption that Cody was winning, there was talk about he was eventually going to be Cody's potential SummerSlam opponent for a WWE title match down the line. Now, obviously, that's been thrown cat amongst the pigeons since then. Drew, there's been a background chat about his health. He's onto his, I think it's his fourth break now from WWE due to personal health issues
Mhm.
in the past year or two. So I hope he's doing all right, first of all. And then there's also a backdrop chat around his own contract situation going into next year. So, and then Sheamus, as you touched on, there's a couple of different things going on in the background. So a couple of years ago, he was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which is the narrowing of the disc in his neck, and he was told, or the word was, he was told a couple of years ago, you don't have long left to wrestle. And he's had a physical renaissance, as it were, in his own performances, particularly over the last year. Like you touched on his match at Clash, his matches with Drew as well, and the kind of the freedom and new lease of energy he seems to have in his matches, and particularly these kind of unique for WWE style matches where people aren't doing overly produced, choreographed, building to a comeback finish. And I think with all those different kind of backdrop for all three participants, plus all three of them at different points in the lead up to Mania were talking about saying they prefer singles matches or tag matches to triple threats or four
Mhm.
mans. And none of them seemed overly happy that they had a triple threat. They're all happy to be facing each other in
Yeah.
I want to face Drew. I want to face Gunther. I want to face Sheamus. But in that permutation, it takes away from the one-on-one combat, which they all kind of thrive in. And to kind of overcome all of that, to make people forget about all these different permutations and narratives around each of them, to make people forget about the spectacle of just what being happy to be at WrestleMania and watch the event. People get people engrossed, to get commentators engrossed in what they're seeing in front of them, to really lose their minds and get really excited and animated throughout. And then to even get the elusive Dave Meltzer to give a WWE match that doesn't feature some indie darling a 5-star rating is another rare feat in itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, listen, I think Sheamus will be getting his IC title at some point down the line, whether it's after a heel turn, we face Drew or something eventually, or I don't think all this narrative around this IC title Grand Slam champion piece will suddenly fade away unless Vince takes a notion. But I would anticipate in 2023 he will get his flowers and have that kind of Grand Slam rounding moment.
Hopefully. Well, I think it's safe to say that overall, the weekend for Irish talent and alumni of Irish wrestling, it was a massive weekend for them. I think this is probably the biggest that I've seen in a while. For our type of talent. I know we had Becky main eventing and stuff a couple of years ago, but like for having three prominent Irish people, on the card and in those positions, and then we had the alums on NXT and then around the indies as well. It's a great time, and I think we're going to just see more next year, even SummerSlam weekend. We've a couple of shows over in the UK this year. It's massive. Like, I think we're just going to see them thriving, but it's great to see. But yeah, thank you, Mark, for doing all the research on the back stuff. It's absolutely phenomenal. Um, Fair play on that. But yeah, thanks guys for watching, for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, enter the competition. Let us know what you think. If you thought my opinions were shit, let me know. If you think I was talking absolute pony, let me know. If you think Mark was talking shit, get on to him on Twitter and harass him. It's at WrestleMobs. But let us know if you agree, disagree. I love talking about wrestling. I'll talk about wrestling to you online. I'll talk to you about it on social media. But give us a shout. But yeah, from me, Colin, from Mark, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.